The sharp sound of glass bottles hitting the floor echoed through the small grocery store, followed by the faint whimper of a trembling voice. Heads turned instantly. A frail teenage girl sat in her wheelchair near the snack aisle, her eyes wide with fear as a furious store manager towered over her. "You think you can steal from me, huh?" he shouted, grabbing the girl's bag and emptying its contents on the floor. Out tumbled a half-eaten chocolate bar and a few apples, rolling across the cracked tiles. The girl's face turned red with shame, tears pooling in her eyes as she stuttered, I didn't mean to, I was hungry." The small crowd watching murmured in judgment. No one stepped forward to help. No one except one man, a tired-looking single father standing at the counter with his 7-year-old son clutching his hand. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Your support helps spread more real, heart-touching stories like this one. The man's name was Ethan Parker, a 38-year-old single dad who worked 2 jobs just to keep a roof over his son Noah's head. His clothes were simple, his hands calloused, and his eyes heavy from years of sacrifice. Life had not been kind to him. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier from cancer, leaving him to raise Noah alone. Every morning, he'd drop his son at school before heading to a construction site, then work nights as a delivery driver. He had no time for anything else, except doing what was right. When Ethan saw the girl being humiliated, something in him snapped. Maybe it was because he saw a reflection of his own struggles in her, the helplessness, the hunger, the quiet suffering. The girl's wheelchair looked old, its wheels slightly bent, and her clothes were faded, patched in places. She couldn't have been more than 16. Her hands shook as she tried to explain herself, but the manager wasn't listening. He grabbed the wheelchair and yanked it backward, causing her to wince in pain. Ethan stormed over, his voice steady but filled with anger. "That's enough," he said. The entire store fell silent. The manager glared at him, clearly annoyed. "This girl was stealing. I caught her red-handed." Ethan looked down at the broken chocolate bar on the floor. "That's not stealing," he said quietly. "That's a hungry kid who made a mistake." He knelt down beside the girl, his tone softening. "Hey, are you okay?" She didn't answer, just nodded, embarrassed. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "I'm sorry, I just wanted something to eat. I haven't eaten since yesterday." Ethan looked around. No one moved. No one offered help. So he reached into his pocket, took out the few dollars he had left for lunch, and handed it to the cashier. "I'll pay for whatever she took," he said. The manager scoffed, muttering something under his breath about charity cases. Ethan ignored him. He picked up the fallen apples, placed them gently in a bag, and handed it to the girl. Her eyes widened as if she wasn't used to kindness. "Thank you," she whispered weakly. Noah tugged at his father's hand and whispered, "Dad, she's crying." Ethan nodded. "Sometimes, son, people cry because they're not used to someone being kind." As they walked out of the store, the girl tried to wheel herself away, but her chair jammed. Ethan helped fix it and asked where she lived. "In an old shed near the bus station," she admitted hesitantly. "My name's Leela. My dad used to take care of me, but he left a long time ago." Her voice cracked. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. Something about her story didn't sit right. No child deserved to live like this. That night, after tucking Noah into bed, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the girl. He thought about how she tried to hide her tears, about the bruises on her arms, the hollow look in her eyes. He'd seen pain before, his son, even strangers. But there was something hauntingly familiar about hers. He couldn't shake the feeling that fate had brought her into his life for a reason. The next morning, he drove to the bus station. There, behind a row of dumpsters, he found a small, broken-down shed. Inside, on a makeshift bed of blankets, was Leela. She was shivering, her face pale. When she saw Ethan, she looked startled. "You came back?" she asked softly. He nodded. "You shouldn't be living like this. Come with me, at least until we figure something out." She hesitated, afraid of being a burden. "I don't want to cause trouble." Ethan smiled gently. "You're not trouble, Leela. You're a kid who needs help, and I think helping each other is what makes us human." Over the next few weeks, Leela began to recover. Ethan made space for her in the small apartment he shared with Noah. He got her a warm bed, cooked meals for her, and helped her get proper medical checkups. Noah adored her and would often sit by her wheelchair, telling her stories about his school day. The three of them slowly became a little family, one built not by blood, but by compassion. Leela told them bits and pieces about her past. Her father had been kind once. A hardworking man who lost his job after an accident left her paralyzed at age 12. Her mother had died shortly after, and her father disappeared one night, leaving only a note that said he would return when he could take care of her again. But he never did. She learned to survive alone, relying on scraps, strangers, and her will to keep going. Ethan's heart ached every time she spoke. One evening, while Ethan was washing dishes, there was a knock on the door. When he opened it, two men in suits stood outside. "Are you Mr. Ethan Parker?" one asked. "Yes," he replied cautiously. "We're looking for a girl named Leela. We have reason to believe she's been living here." Ethan's stomach tightened. "She's safe here," he said firmly. "Why are you looking for her?" The man handed him a card, attorney's office of Michael Dawson. "Her father has been searching for her for years," the man said. "He never abandoned her. He was in prison, falsely accused, and just released. He's been trying to find her ever since." Ethan froze. Leela's father, for years. He looked back toward her room, his mind spinning. When Leela came out and saw the men, she looked terrified. "No, no, it can't be," she whispered. But when the man showed her a photograph, an old picture of a smiling man holding a younger version of her, she broke down. "That's my dad," she cried. The next day, Ethan accompanied her to meet him. It was in a quiet park. A tall man with kind eyes and a face weathered by time waited anxiously by the benches. When Leela's wheelchair appeared in sight, his entire body trembled. "Leela," he whispered, tears spilling down his cheeks. "It's really you." She burst into tears and reached for him. He knelt and hugged her so tightly that years of pain seemed to melt away in that single embrace. Ethan stood back, watching the reunion with tears in his own eyes. It was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. Leela's father, Mark Dawson, turned to him after a while and said, "You're the man who helped my daughter, aren't you? I don't know how to thank you." Ethan simply said, "Just take care of her. She deserves that." Mark explained everything. He had been wrongfully accused of embezzlement while working for a construction company. The evidence had been fabricated by a corrupt manager. By the time he was released and cleared, he had lost everything: his home, his family, his reputation. He had spent every last penny hiring detectives to find Leela. "I thought I'd lost her forever," he said quietly. Leela didn't want to leave Ethan and Noah at first. They had become her family too. So Mark made a promise: they would never be separated again. He invited Ethan and Noah to stay with them until he got settled. Slowly, they all built a new life together, bound by fate and love. Weeks later, the same store manager who had accused Leela of stealing came across a news article about her. The story of a paralyzed girl reunited with her father after years apart. He was stunned to see Ethan's face in the photo too, standing beside them, smiling. The article spoke about compassion, kindness, and how a stranger's act of defense had changed multiple lives forever. Ethan didn't think of himself as a hero. To him, he just did what any decent person should have done. But that simple act had set in motion something extraordinary. It reunited a broken family, healed hearts, and gave hope to people who had lost everything. Leela went on to recover further under her father's care. She began attending school again, later becoming a motivational speaker for people with disabilities. She often mentioned a man named Ethan in her speeches, the stranger who saw my pain when the world looked away. Ethan found new strength too. He opened a small garage with Mark's help, finally quitting his exhausting two-job routine. Noah grew up seeing the power of empathy firsthand, learning that being strong isn't about fighting, it's about standing up for others. And sometimes, when Ethan would pass by that same grocery store, he'd see another hungry child or struggling parent, and he'd remember that one moment that changed everything. Because kindness doesn't cost much, but it can rewrite lives. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that restore faith in humanity. And before you go, comment below. What do you think is the most powerful act of kindness someone can show a stranger?